I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It's Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Clint Scott in with the one, the only Chois Woodman. Ben Portman behind the glass taking care of us. It is a 3-2 start for the Red Raiders after falling to Oregon State. They beat UT Arlington yesterday, and after 5, I've seen some good, seen some bad, but I think overall pretty decent foot forward to start the year for Red Raider baseball. Red Raider basketball last night, Cardiac Kids, holy cow, 82-81 win over TCU without Warren Washington. Hey, we're live from the First United Bank studio. You can call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline. That number's 806-771-0973. You can also hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments, questions, reactions from all the action. Boy, a wild 24 hours since we've been off the air. Take us anywhere with the mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. And you can also stream us live on Fox 34 News Now and on YouTube. You can also follow us on the social medias, Double T 97.3 on Facebook and Twitter. Choice, how art thou?
I am decent. Wish Tech Baseball would have got a win today, but I'm not going to overreact to one game or even one weekend in Arlington, extended weekend in Arlington, because it's baseball. But I'm pretty good. Last night was fun. Well, the Tech basketball side of things was fun. So,
yeah. Well, baseball was fun yesterday too.
I was just talking about where I wasn't it?
But yeah. I've already forgotten that.
Tech basketball was that. I say it was fun. Is more like twist your insides up for 2 hours and then have fun at the very end. So that was good. Still, I mean, this team is so much fun, and I don't know if I just got so beat up by last year's team and what you went through as a Tech fan last year. It wasn't that you just had a bad basketball team. It was that all of the extra that came with that team and all of the stories you hear and all of the selfishness you hear about. So seeing a team that's basically the opposite of that this year and fighting and clawing to win games, I think TCU is a more talented basketball team than Texas Tech right now, and you're still finding a way to win against more talented teams. So, yeah, I'm enjoying what Coach McCaslin has done in year one a ton. And again, it was a swing game yesterday, and you've swung back into the fight for a Big 12 title. Are you going to win one? Probably not. Are you going to finish top 5? Winning last night helps you a lot towards that. If the season ended today, you leapfrogged over Kansas to be that 4th team for the double bye,
which is huge.
Yeah.
And we're just getting into the mode of thinking about the Big 12 tournament, right?
Yeah.
Like you still have
five games away.
You still got 5 big games in front of you before you get there. But if you are doing the long haul view and you're doing the tournament seeding view, as far as the NCAA tournament, you're jumping into that 4th spot. It's massive because, I mean, who knows how much you can help yourself with a better round finish in the conference tournament. And it's going to help you do that if you can miss a couple of games because you're in that 1, 2, 3, 4 seed line in the conference. And by the way, in that 1, 2, 3, 4 line, you still got Baylor. And they're on that 1, 2, 3, 4 line. So you've got teams that you're playing that will help you, that you can take out yourself. But you're right. I think, you talked about that being a swing game yesterday, and completely agreed, especially when it seems to me in the mess of the Big 12, you and TCU have had a very similar season As far as wins and losses, not like who you've missed and who's been out and who's had the flu and who's been walking in a boot or anything like that. But similar talent levels to me. It was very satisfying to see Jamie Dixon go through a swing of emotions. If you believe in brain games to like help, your mind, right? Stay sharp. Number games, word games, spelling games, all that stuff, little daily puzzles that some people will do to get your mind right. Watching this version of Texas Tech basketball might do the opposite and make your brain melt because it is just stress-inducing and then in the end, just complete joy and just ballistic happiness.
Yep.
Because the graph, like the analytics and the graphs, when you see win percentage, has been phenomenal for Texas Tech. I think late you were like 94.9% going to lose that game. It is incredible that it's not just once that you've done this.
Yeah, I think
year.
this is the 5th or 6th game that you've had an 88% or worse chance to lose a game.
But that
and you found a way to do it.
And
win it.
And that's what I think. Even though you lose to Iowa State, that's a great example of that because not very many teams, would have even survived the first half that you went through, let alone made it a game. Now, that's not the one you're shining a light on because you don't win it, but that is just a continued sign that, one, your best basketball, and maybe the other side of this is, hey, can we figure it out a little earlier? But your best basketball tends to be played in the most stressful of times of the game and in the most important parts of the game, and that is 10 minutes and under. The other side, too, Grant McCasland can flat out coach.
No arguments here.
Incredible.
Yep, it's been amazing.
We'll get more into that game. Also get more into the first 5 games of Red Raider baseball. Coming up next, Ben has a play of the day for us. It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Happy Wednesday, it's Tech Talk. You've got us on Double T 97.3 and Double T973.com. Clint Scott, Chois Woodman, Ben Poorman behind the glass. Take us anywhere with the mobile app brought to you by Happy State Bank. Tonight, we will have the high school fan zone, 6 o'clock, over on 100.7 The Score. Also, Lady Raider basketball over on 107.7 Yes FM. That is a 6:30 start. They are in Austin, trying to turn some things around. I don't know if this is the best place to do it, nor was Waco their last outing.
Probably not, but I think there are no expectations for the Lady Raiders to win tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the locker room probably, so you can play free.
Play free, and who knows? Maybe we get another picture of Chuck about to dive over the scoreboard to clothesline Vic Schaefer. That was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen.
I think Chuck should get himself banned from the mood by doing something like that tonight. Like
Wreck the mood.
Yes. I think this is the last. I mean,
two of me.
This is most likely the last meeting for the Lady Raiders in the Moody's, so might as well. I would love to see Chuck. No punches, just chest bump, like Friar Tuck and Robin Hood. Just go chest bump, belly bump.
Stop hissing in my ear.
Yeah, just go belly bumping on Vic Schaefer. I think that's my request for Chuck tonight. We'll see if he can follow through.
I referenced that movie a couple nights ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Somebody was talking about a PJ. I didn't know who they were, and I couldn't help but just go, PJ, I rather like that. Great movie reference.
Well,
Friar Chuck.
Yes.
There you go. Belly bumping Vic Schaefer.
I mean, that movie is great. It's got Roger Miller singing in it. So
oh, yeah. Not in Nottingham.
And
underrated.
And the whistle song.
Too.
All right. Sorry to everybody.
No, that's all right. Oh, you were apologizing to everyone else, not me. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can hit us up there as well. The basketball team doesn't suck again. The baseball team sucks again.
Oh, no.
Heavy sarcasm
I would hope so.
in there. And they say yes, just kidding.
Okay.
This from Bullfighter. I'm not like the other jackwagon on the chat line. I think it was sarcasm. But why do these baseball teams leave guys on base? Seems like Tech has been plagued by this. How do you fix it? Certainly was an issue today.
I would say today it was an issue. It seems game to game. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't
think that coming into today's game about this team. Again, small sample size. 4 games leading up to today against Oregon State. I don't know. I wouldn't label it a problem on this one just yet.
I would say the 2 games it was a problem was against Tennessee on Friday night and against Oregon State today. And the common denominator between those 2 teams are their top 10 teams.
Yeah.
And also, usually with top 10 teams, you have excellent pitching that can get out of jams when you get into jams. Look, good teams, if you want to be a national champion, you're going to have to come through in the clutch. But we're a long way away from talking about those sorts of things. It's a long season. Plus, you're testing out some freshmen. You're testing out different bats in the lineup, different arms, different things going on that you're trying to figure out. It is very much an observation and information time for Tim Tadlock and company in these first couple of weeks of the season before you really settle in with a lineup. So I don't think I'm ready to call it a plague bullfighter. Each team's different from year to year. Last year, I do think it was a problem at times, but again, it was still a good baseball team. You just didn't. I think pitching was far more of a problem last year, and bullpen issues were far more of a problem, and that's an area I think so far I feel better about. Again, you threw 8 different guys today, 8 different arms. And
none of it settled.
You're figuring, you're figuring things out right now. And again, I wish Texas Tech would have beat Oregon State. And one thing you saw with Oregon State was good defense can save you runs and help you out. And there was a situation in the 4th where Texas Tech was down 6-0. They get it to 6-4, and 2 or 3 fantastic defensive plays where Texas Tech may have been leading 7-6 at that. Those 3 defensive plays for Oregon State keep Texas Tech from doing it. So, good teams make good plays. Hopefully Texas Tech can get into that category both on the offensive and defensive side.
I will say, not even to play full devil's advocate, but just for the sake of the conversation, we'll say this team is so loaded with bats, and that's something that we've obviously hyped up and been excited about is the offense. Something that you also expect up and down is the clutch hitting side to answer the clutch pitching side. That's not to say that today is a sign that it won't be there. It's more of to say I don't think that will be the case. I think that this will be not even a one-off because you're going to run into it again at some point in the season. I mean, that's just the way that baseball is, right? Is you have so many games. You're going to run into this game again and look at a loss and go, boy, look at all these runners in scoring position that we left, or a handful of scenarios that got away from you offensively.
Yeah.
But today, that certainly bit you.
Yeah. I don't think that's much of a question. And Oregon State, on the inverse, was really good with runners in scoring position. Look, I think 2 for 13, I believe, is what Tech finished at.
Yeah.
That's not a good number, but I do like the fact that you're getting runners into scoring position where you've got opportunities 13 different times. Oregon State went 4 for 7, so they capitalized on their chances. But again, I'm not going to – I said this before. I'm not going to overreact to one game. I wouldn't have overreacted if Texas Tech was 5-0 at this point in the season.
I would have.
Would you? Okay.
I'm an overreactor though in baseball.
With baseball, you can't overreact. You're 3-2 with 2 losses to top 10 teams, and you come back home. And largely, you have been terrible in that building in Arlington, where Tech has really struggled in games there. So coming out with a winning record out of 3 games, beating 2 Power 5 teams, I think it was a successful trip to Arlington. Would I have liked 4-1 or 5-0? Of course, but you took care of business. in 3 of your 5 games, and I'm not upset. Now you get to come back home, and we'll get to see him in front of our own eyes.
Ben, please hit us up with your play of the day, good sir.
2-0 turned on and hit well towards right. This ball is out of here. Gavin Kash with his first home run of the season. It's a 2-run shot.
You talk about this team full of bats or bat loaded there, Clint. We had to bring in the ATM's first run of the season. How's that sound for you?
Yeah, that was good to see him immediately break his slump because he did not. He probably had the most disappointing. And I mean, from him, not like, oh, we're so disappointed in you, Gavin Kash, but opening showing in the college showdown where he just obviously struggled at the plate.
My question with Gavin at this point is, will he be able to hit against good pitching?
Yeah.
I mean, is he going to chase a bunch against good pitching? Because that was the problem over the weekend. When he faced UT Arlington yesterday, looked a lot better. So,
and you go, is that part of that? Is that just because it's UT Arlington?
It's UT Arlington, yeah. So I do think he's putting together better at bats than he did early in the weekend. He looked pretty lost at the plate early on, but he's a guy I'll be honed in on over the next couple of weeks to see if he can break out.
We will. Can we say breakout in the next segment? Do you think we're going to do that?
Sure, why not?
Or we hold it back in? You have to wait here on Double T 97.3 to find out. Red Raider basketball talk when we come back.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Clint Scott, Chois Woodman, Ben Poorman behind the glass. In the words of Jeff Haxton last night, it was winner, winner, frog leg dinner. What a masterful performance from the Red Raiders there at the end of that game. And really the whole time, because at first, Chois,
Yes,
Ben,
Clint.
fine listening minutes, I thought the missing Warren Washington piece was going to play a much, I guess, a bigger factor than what it did. Now, you still would have loved to have played that game, and you would have played better with him on the court. Don't get me wrong.
I think it played a pretty big factor because I was pulling my hair out every time they got an offensive rebound.
Sure. It played a factor, but I thought it would play the factor where you would lose that game and it not be as close as it was.
Okay.
When they started to pull away, because you weren't stopping them in the paint very well, and then the offensive rebound issue, was a problem last night. But Kyron Lindsey, what a game from him! That was crazy because I think he got close to playing his entire minute total last night, and he didn't have a perfect performance, but I think between what you've seen out of Robert Jennings and now out of him, it feels like they have, I don't think either of them have played a great game or a good game at the same time. I feel like they've kind of alternated, leaning more towards Robert Jennings. He's older. He's the one who's been taken, when I say older, he's the one who's taken more reps, had more time, but he didn't play perfect. At times, there was still some issues like you saw in Waco to me, like defensively going, what are you doing? And then made up for it with energy plays, big rebounds. A couple of big buckets.
Yeah.
8 points in the end. I was shocked, I'll be honest, at how well he played last night.
Yeah, I think that I think when it comes to Lindsey, I think it is pretty clear to me why he is the third one of the big men.
Completely
when
agree.
I watch him play, it's pretty clear. I think shot selection is lacking at times. I think there's definitely some defensive issues on rotations at times. That being said, he might be your most athletic player on your team. He is extremely athletic. He's got a good twitch to him. So you get to see some good. But if you've got a fully healthy Warren Washington and Robert Jennings, it's a mad dog hustle-wise. I think I don't want Kyron Lindsey taking away minutes from those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
But he has come up, and he had some big buckets, and he made a really good pass to Pop Isaacs last night. So I was pleasantly surprised with some of the plays he was able to make down the stretch. Now, there were a couple plays that he hurt you as well, but he was absolutely part of that comeback. I think the comeback was led by Pop Isaacs and Joe Toussaint, but
Sure.
Lindsey definitely made some plays down the stretch to help you win that basketball game.
It's more of because he's not polished at all, and I think that is very, very apparent that Lindsey. There's a reason why he has not seen very many minutes, even when Cambridge went down originally. Because when we go back to those conversations, it was like, okay, here's Lindsey. It's going to be all these minutes for him, and then we were shocked when the red shirt thought process is burned, and then you don't see much of him, and then you start to see more of him now. And on one hand, you go, okay, you're going to tell if he was going to have a good game, or you can tell if he's going to be ones. You might see Yalaho in this game if Jennings can't go.
Very true. Go on.
Well, it's just on one hand, there is some good to come out of this because you are going to need that type of depth at some point in an important part of the season, even though there's limited time left, but you're getting to the most important parts of your season.
I mean, last night.
Yeah, last night,
huge game.
Right there. Who knows with Washington, how much he'll be able to go when he does come back at first. And then you still have that, I guess I'm more calm in my thinking about, okay, when you get to the tournament, if Washington, we've kind of been waiting for that game for Washington to get into quick foul trouble.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, you got to go Jennings or you got to go Lindsey now. And it's still Jennings first, but you feel, at least to me, a little bit better if you do have to go to that.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, there was probably moments earlier in the season that Lindsey would have been in if you didn't have attitude issues or selfishness issues. I mean, obviously the picture he tweets out with the jersey and that sort of thing. There's obviously some other problems behind the scenes there. But hopefully that's all worked through. Hopefully some of the maturity is gained, and maybe you see him continue to make plays for you down the stretch. Again, if you could give me Warren Washington healthy back tomorrow,
yes,
I want that immediately.
Yeah, I'm not saying, hey, let's get him some more minutes if we can, even if Washington's good to go. Why don't we just sit him out this game? Let the young bucks go a little more. Give him some reps.
Yeah, but it could have been way worse without Washington last night, and guys stepped up. And heck, Pop Isaacs has another bad shooting night from the field. But he's able to go make plays for you and get to the free throw line and find a way when you needed him to. And the pass he made to Darian Williams might have been the play of the game.
So for Pop Isaacs, what is this? The fifth bad shooting game in a row?
It
somewhere
feels
around
like
that number.
It's well into slump territory. Yeah.
Last night was the first game of that slump that I felt like he made the decision of, okay, hey, well, I'm going to do everything else right. Certainly in the second half, whenever you needed him to.
Yeah.
And I think I agree. It was him and Joe Toussaint that led that charge. But Pop Isaacs made a concentrated effort to look for teammates, to find a good shot for someone else in the second half, be aggressive and going into the paint when he needed to. I thought he did a lot better job of looking to score and not to be fouled when he went in, or to find someone else who could score, because that's something else that I feel like he hasn't done a very good job of in the slump. And I get it all rolls together when you're trying to figure stuff out, especially at this point in the season. But yeah, Pop Isaacs, huge last night without shooting the ball well. Yeah. It's Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
We are live from the First United Bank studio. You can call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. You can also hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thoughts, comments. Also get your questions in for Ask Tech Talk. We'll do that at 5:45, as we do every day. That is also brought to you by Visual Edge IT. Take us anywhere with a mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. You can also stream us on Fox 34 News Now and on YouTube if you would like to see our, I'd say bright and shining smiles, but I'm going to say bright and shiny bald spots, since we both have the little circle thing going on.
I didn't know I had this until today.
Really? Mine's more pronounced. I'm just taller. It's harder to see.
Pronounced bald spot.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Can that be sired by pronounced cleavage of last year's race? That horse disappointed quite a bit.
Yeah, it did. It sure did. Hey, you can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. We got this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line from Tyler. Tyler, problem is we play cupcakes the next 2 weeks. Need to be 10-2 when Tejas comes to town.
I would probably predict you are 10-2. Texas Southern has not given Texas Tech much of a fight at all in the last few years that you played them on and off. Gardner Webb shouldn't. It's baseball, so you run into a good starting pitcher, anything can happen, and that's why you don't panic over it. You got the road trip to Albuquerque before Texas, and that's the one where you never know what's going to happen. Usually extremely offensive games there in Albuquerque. So you got 7 games until you play Texas. Wow, that's crazy. Conference play gets here so quick. At minimum, you need to be 6-1 during that stretch.
I'd agree with that. Buddy, not having Washington played a pretty big factor. Well, okay, I worded that wrong. I thought it was going to play.
He called you Buddy.
Buddy. Guy.
Come on, pal.
Friend.
Champ.
I thought it was going to play a factor to the point of you getting beat and it not being, maybe not like a 15-point loss, but I thought that game was going to get out of hand, and it was because you couldn't do anything to keep them off the glass and you couldn't stop them in the paint.
All right, can I gripe for just like half a minute?
Gripe away.
Why do we not block out anymore? I get it. I get that these guys are not short white guys like me, and they can jump out of the gym, most of them. But when you know that the other team is one of the better rebounding teams in the conference, when you know that the plan is you got to keep these guys off the glass, they don't shoot it that well, but they get a lot of second chance opportunities. Like, is there not a more concerted effort to put your butt on someone? I mean, we saw that over and over. It looked like a Tech guy was going to reach up and grab a rebound and then right over the top of them just because they're jumping straight up and down.
I don't even think like this is a get off my lawn take, because I'm here with you, dude. It is something that I have seen, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way, slowly develop in the game of basketball over the past, 6 or 7 years, which really stood out. And it's gotten to a point where, and especially in the Big 12, and you have to match the other team's physicality, and part of that is contact, right? Like, this isn't us inventing something new in the game of basketball. It's something that has been important since basketball has been played.
Sure.
And I don't think that that's just a Texas Tech thing. I think you see the tendency to lean on your athletic ability and not doing the work to get there first.
Well, I feel like it's almost an uncool thing to block out. I don't know. I get frustrated when I watch it, especially early in the game when you're not getting rebounds and then you don't see an adjustment. Like, hey, get your butt on someone, get them out of there, and then one of us will go get the rebound.
And what do we know about the Big 12 about how it's been officiated, especially this year? They have let you play physical.
Yep.
You need to be physical.
Extremely physical this year. Actually, and maybe this is the bias of having a home game because, I probably wouldn't say this about anybody on the road. That was one of the better officiated games I think I've seen in the Big 12 this year. Didn't have just a ton of gripes overall in the game. There was, of course, like any basketball game, disagreements here and there, but I thought that was one of the more veteran crews you've had too. There's been a big influx, and this is not hidden anywhere, but a big influx of new people in the conference. New officials in the conference because you've added teams, one, so there's more games, but also because there's several guys that retired last year. Quite a few officials retired last year. And you had a very, very veteran crew last night, and I think it showed because I think it was pretty consistent officiating. That was a compliment for officials. You can write that down.
Kind of shocked.
February 21st.
Do you want to bookmark it? Save that in your brains, people. It's a miracle.
Oh, the one thing you could officiate, like everybody, get Jamie Dixon off the court. Someone, somewhere.
I mean,
in the Big 12 office.
There was a point in time last night where I went, they have 6 on the court getting back on defense. Oh, it's Jamie Dixon.
Yes.
Let him shoot a 3. Let's lean into it.
He's literally on the 3-point line.
He's spotting up at this point. He's not the only one, by the way, but he is the worst offender of it. And they just let it go.
By far.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T973.com. Time for the juice. Thank you for joining us. Get you some headlines, and we'll start with what went down last night at the USA. USA. The Red Raiders rallied for a win over the TCU Horned Frogs, down 10 points with about 7 minutes to play. They came roaring back, ultimately win at 82-81. Played a little free throw game there at the end. Joe Toussaint, clutch. Pop Isaacs, clutch. Let's see, Darian Williams, Joe Toussaint, Kerwin Walton, all ending with 14 points. Pop Isaacs went for 19. And again, the biggest thing with him is I think it's huge that he goes for 19. He facilitates well in the fast break, facilitates in the half-court offense. But again, he did not have a good shooting night, but he found a way to be effective in this one, and you absolutely needed him to.
Yeah, I think that this was the perfect example of finding a way to win a basketball game. It felt like TCU outmanned you a lot last night. It felt like they outplayed you at times in terms of just playing better basketball, but you still scratched and clawed your way back into it, made plays down the stretch, and love to see that. And very importantly, you protected home court. You know, if you want to be in conversation to win this league, you can really only lose one home game. That's basically because Iowa State probably not going to lose a home game this year. Houston probably not going to lose a home game this year. Those two teams are who you're fighting the most. Kansas, again, probably not going to lose a home game. So that one that you had against Cincinnati has to be your only one if you're still going to stay in the Big 12 hunt. And now you look ahead and say, once again, every game left on your schedule is a winnable basketball game. So,
and you're still waiting for Warren Washington to get back and be at full force too. So,
yeah,
I mean, you
hope that happens soon.
Yeah, you hope that happens soon. But like getting that done again, I think a really, really good performance from Kyron Lindsey. To add into that, and then I don't think Robert Jennings was bad by any means, but between the two, tip of the cap to me goes to Lindsey. Not that you have to do that; you don't want them to fight or anything, but you needed it, and he didn't play perfectly. Again, I think he showed you and has shown you why the minutes have not been there. But at the same time, you saw him last night take a significant step forward, much like I think you've seen Robert Jennings take some steps forward, especially over the past month of basketball.
Sure.
Red Raider baseball, couple different results. Yesterday, pounded UTA 13-1. Got 4 strong innings from the freshman, Brady Trumbello. What'd you think of him?
I thought it was impressive to see what he did. He was kind of the surprise guy of the weekend of the 5 games for me. He was, when we were going through all of our who could start this or who's where. Trumbello was not high on the list for what I gathered, but ends up starting your Tuesday game and did very well in that role. So obviously pitching it well and may work his way into an even bigger role, or he may be your go-to guy in the midweek. Either way, it was good to see his effort, and then obviously the Bats wake up and had a pretty good night against UT Arlington as well.
And Gavin Kash gets his first home run of the year. It was a 2-run shot. But yeah, the offense was rolling against them. However, you did play a game today as well. Did not go your way against Oregon State. That is a top 10 team. You fall 10-4.
Yeah.
It was the runners in scoring position that got you offensively, 2 for 13. Situational hitting, that leaned towards the Beavers pitching.
Yeah. I think that you look at Oregon State, they saved some runs, saved some hits.
Really good defense.
Defensively, and that was part of the story to the game. A few that sneaked through against other baseball teams. You would have had some better situational hitting. So that number would have been a little better if they didn't make some SportsCenter top 10 plays. So they deserve some of that credit because Tech out-hit Oregon State and loses the game 10-4. The other part, on the flip side, the story is just too many free passes. I think Tech did a pretty good job through the first 4 games of not giving out free passes. Today, that wasn't the story, and Oregon State took advantage when you walked people or hit them with a pitch.
Yeah, you walked 8 batters today. They did walk 7, but again, this goes into your own runners in scoring position.
Yeah, they took advantage
left on base.
Tech didn't.
But 3-2 after 5 games in Arlington.
Yeah, and breaking it down more individually, there's some players I've been very impressed with through the first few games. Damian Bravo maybe at the top of that
Double
list.
Damian. Love
what we've seen from him, and it's obvious why he's forced his way into that left field starting spot. And then TJ Pompey
looks the part, man.
Yeah, we heard about it, saw a little bit in the spring and the fall, and he's lived up to the hype so far. He's going to be a very nice piece for the Red Raiders. I think some of the other chips will fall that you expect, like Bazell and Cash, and Austin Green's hit very well too. Mm-hmm. I really like what he's given you.
I thought he had a great trip to Arlington.
Yeah,
he also made some real nice plays out in the outfield.
Yeah, Green, Washburn, Bravo, several guys that had good trips. Again, it's 5 games into the season, so a lot of baseball still to be played and a lot to still sort through over the next few weeks before you get to conference play.
Coming up at 6:30 tonight over on 107.7 Yes FM, it is Lady Raider basketball. They are at Texas trying to halt a losing skid they're currently on. It's going to be tough against the Longhorns. They're coming in 24-3 overall, 11-3 in conference play. I believe ranked 5th. Yes, there you go. And that is the juice. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Yes, Washington being out is going to pay dividends in the tournament. I think there's something to that for sure.
Yeah, I think the minutes. That
you don't want them to be out to find out, but
no, but yeah, if you end up having to use other guys in big moments in the tournament, I think this experience is crucial, especially playing the teams that they've gone up against.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.